everybody, and welcome to another ASMR video here on the channel. Today, as you can tell, we have another installment of our true crime series, which we're sort of doing sporadically. And as you can tell, we're going to be taking a look at the hacking group known as Anonymous. How this video is going to be sort of structured, we're going to give a little introduction into who Anonymous are, give a little bit of a history, and then we're going to take a look at their five of their biggest and most sort of famous hacks. There are a lot to choose from, and two of which will be in a bit more detail than the other three. So hopefully that sounds good, and I reckon we waste no more time and let's get into it. For nearly 2 decades, one of the world's most infamous hacker groups has operated under the name Anonymous, and the mysterious online community is making headlines once again. After Russia invaded Ukraine at the end of February, a Twitter account with 7.9 million followers named Anonymous declared a cyber war against Russia and its president, Vladimir Putin. Since then, the group has claimed responsibility for various cyber attacks that disabled websites and leaked data from Russian government agencies, as well as state-run news outlets and corporations. Often called hacktivists, Anonymous employs coordinated cyber attacks against various world governments, corporations or other groups, often in the name of social or political causes. In a February 24th tweet, the Anonymous account, which says it cannot claim to speak for the whole of the Anonymous collective, called on hackers around the world, including in Russia, to say no to Vladimir Putin's war. And what they did around the Russia-Ukraine incident is one of the incidents, the hacking occurrences that we'll be looking at in a bit more detail later on in the video. So let's take a look at the origins of Anonymous. Anonymous's origin story begins in the online message forums of 4chan, the anonymous social community website founded in 2003. Even today, posts on 4chan from users who don't specify a username are labelled as written by Anonymous. In the website's early days, users often organised group pranks called raids, flooding chat rooms in games and other online communities to cause disruptions. 4chan began cracking down on the raids after critics accused participants of cyberbullying and posting offensive content. Those raids formed the basis of Anonymous's operations, a decentralised movement of like-minded online users who would communicate in encrypted chat rooms to plan online disruptions. At first, those plans were largely about cheap entertainment. Eventually, they began to revolve around social or political aims. The group's most prominent early instance of hacktivism came in 2008, when 4chan users, led by anonymous hacker Greg Hausch, he's not very anonymous, is he, launched a coordinated effort against the Church of Scientology, using tactics like denial of service, attacks on the church's websites, prank phone calls, and faxing the church black pages to waste their printer ink. This is, we're going to take it, I think that's one of the 5 hacking things that we're going to look at again later on in the video. The cyber attacks, which Anonymous labelled Project Chanology, were retaliation for what the hackers deemed as attempted censorship. The church had legally threatened Gawker after the media outlet published a leaked video of actor Tom Cruise speaking enthusiastically about Scientology. A series of worldwide protests against Scientology soon followed, with many anonymous supporting protesters wearing white and black Guy Fawkes masks, depicting the 17th century British insurrectionist. Those masks have since become closely associated with the hacking group, and that is true. Whenever I think of Anonymous, I instantly just think of that V for Vendetta mask. Moving on to their philosophy and targets. Generally, Anonymous opposes governments and corporations that it views as participating in censorship or promoting inequality. Since the group is decentralized, it has no real structure or hierarchy, so there's often much internal debate about which ideas or causes to support. A pinned 2019 tweet on the @YourAnonNews Twitter account, which again claims not to speak for the collective as a whole, describes Anonymous members as working class people seeking a better future for humanity. It lists Anonymous's guiding principles as freedom of information, freedom of speech, accountability for companies and governments, privacy and anonymity for private citizens. Since Project Chanology, Anonymous members have targeted a long list of parties, including the Recording Industry Association of America and Motion Picture Association of America, after those organisations worked to stop pirating websites from sharing copyrighted music and movies. I mean, that's fair enough. I'd say Anonymous are probably in the wrong there. They've also targeted the US Department of Justice and FBI after federal authorities shut down file-sharing website megaupload.com in 2012. PayPal, after the online payments platform stopped allowing donations to WikiLeaks and its controversial founder Julian Assange. Government websites in Tunisia, Egypt and other countries in the Middle East and Africa as part of the 2011 Arab Spring pro-democracy protests, and ISIS following the 2015 Paris terrorist attacks. Authorities around the world have arrested dozens of hackers with alleged ties to Anonymous, including at least 14 people charged with hacking PayPal in 2011. Barrett Brown, a journalist and self-professed Anonymous spokesperson, served more than 4 years in prison after a 2012 arrest on charges related to cyber attacks and threatening a federal officer. The collective's activities trailed off after some of those arrests, but resurfaced last year when Anonymous claimed responsibility for hacks targeting the Republican Party in Texas in protest of the state's controversial abortion law. Anonymous also claimed responsibility for a September hack of web hosting company Epic, which leaked more than 150 gigabytes of data on far-right groups like QAnon and the Proud Boys. We next move on to Anonymous's supporters and critics. In 2012, Time magazine named Anonymous one of the world's 100 most influential people. Today, millions of people follow Anonymous-affiliated social media accounts. Jeremiah Fowler, a co-founder of the cybersecurity company Security Discovery, told CNBC last week that Anonymous's supporters likely view the group as somewhat of a cyber Robin Hood, targeting powerful governments and corporations in the name of popular causes. You want action now, you want justice now, and I think groups like Anonymous and activists give people that immediate satisfaction, Fowler said. But security agency deemed Anonymous a threat to national security. Barmy Olson, a journalist who wrote a 415-page book on Anonymous in 2012, stated at the time that even the group's supporters should consider its legacy a mixed bag. Has Anonymous done good for the world? In some cases, yes, Olson told Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, citing Anonymous's support of pro-democracy demonstrators in the Middle East. Unnecessarily harassing people, I would class that as a bad thing. DDoSing the CIA website, stealing customer data and posting it online just for shits and gigs is not a good thing. So, I mean, I think Barmy Olson's probably right. I think the majority of the time, obviously hacking anything is illegal, hence why this is a true crime video. But a lot of the time they do act like that Robin Hood, and they do some crazy but positive and incredible things. But on the flip side, if you look at some of the hacking incidents that, they've caused, you're like, why have you done that? Well, we know why they do it, but I'd say it's more leaning on the negative side. But anyway, we now move into 5 of their major hacking incidents, 2 of which we'll look at in more detail. But we begin with Westboro Baptist Church. After a February letter threatening to hack the widely loathed church's site was revealed to be a hoax, Westboro played the role of defiant victim, inviting Anonymous to bring it. Days later, Anonymous hacked into Westboro's website. Take this defacement as a simple warning. Go away, they wrote. The world, including Anonymous, disagrees with your hateful messages. There's a lesson to be learned here, says Tony Bradley at PC World. When your supporters can be counted on your fingers and your enemies outnumber the population of China, it is unwise to brazenly invite attack. I'd like to, if someone down below, because these are just like bullet points, if someone down below knows what's wrong with Westboro Baptist Church, I mean, it might be something really obvious. I bet they're like racist or something, but if you could let me know down below why Anonymous did hack them. Second, we've got the Koch brothers. Most recently, Anonymous went after the Koch brothers, the billionaire conservatives and prominent Tea Party backers, by launching a denial-of-service attack on the website of their advocacy group, Americans for Prosperity. Anonymous claimed that Koch Industries and oligarchs like them have started to manipulate the political agenda in Wisconsin. It's quite unusual for Anonymous to take on such a blatantly political operation, says Adrian Chen at Gawker. But Anonymous says the attack is about unchecked corporate power. The Hacker Collective is now actively probing Koch-owned company websites for weaknesses, something that should make executives at those corporations very nervous, says Byron Akuhido at USA Today. Next, we've got WikiLeaks' foes, so their enemies. In 2010, Anonymous mounted Operation Payback, a wide-ranging effort to punish pro-copyright groups that had cracked down on internet piracy. In December, the initiative expanded to include companies and individuals who had come out against WikiLeaks and its founder, Julian Assange. When MasterCard ceased processing payments connected to WikiLeaks, Anonymous crippled the company's websites with denial-of-service attacks. Visa, PayPal, and the website of Assange critic Sen Joe Lieberman suffered the same fate. website, one anonymous member explained that the group isn't affiliated with WikiLeaks, but fights for the same reasons. We want transparency, and we counter censorship. The attempts to silence WikiLeaks are long strides closer to a world where we cannot say what we think and are unable to express our opinions and ideas. And now we've got 2 hacking incidents left, and we're going to go into a little bit more detail on these ones, as I mentioned. So firstly, we've got Anonymous versus Scientology, a copyright violation claim by the Church of Scientology against the posting of one of its videos to YouTube has prompted a full-on assault by a group calling itself Anonymous. The video, in which Tom Cruise proclaims in part that Scientologists are the only experts on the mind, was pulled by YouTube over the weekend at the request of the Church of Scientology as part of a long-standing effort to keep copyrighted material from appearing on the internet. Other sites have since posted the Cruise video in full, of course. In response to the takedown of the Cruise video, a group of vigilantes calling themselves Anonymous have retaliated against what they consider to be internet censorship. The group includes computer experts capable of internet mischief. In recent days, local chapter sites for the Church of Scientology have been defaced, and in some cases denial of service attacks have also prevented access to the same sites. Real-world attacks have included fax spamming those same offices. As an explanation for these attacks, Anonymous posted its own video to YouTube. That sounded really posh, YouTube. In the video, a computer-generated voice speaks over a rolling cloudscape, effectively putting the Church of Scientology on notice. And this is what they say. Over the years, we have been watching you. Your campaigns of misinformation, your suppression of dissent, your litigious nature. Litigious, I think that's how you're meant to say that. All of these things have caught our eye. With the leakage of your latest propaganda video into mainstream circulation, the extent of your malign influence over those who have come to trust you as leaders has been made clear to us. Anonymous has therefore decided that your organisation should be destroyed for the good of your followers, for the good of mankind, and for our own enjoyment. We shall proceed to expel you from the internet and systematically dismantle the Church of Scientology in its present form. The video ends with the following statement. We are Anonymous. We are Legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us. Wow, I've got absolute goosebumps. I mean, whoever is part of Anonymous, they've been watching a lot of movies because they've really got a taste for the dramatic, haven't they? It's like reading a movie script. A website called Project Genealogy details present actions and those in the works by Anonymous and others. The video was followed by numerous attacks on local and global Scientology websites that made the portals even often inactive, plus a series of black faxes sent in order to make the official headquarters run out of ink. That's just so petty. I love it. The protests lasted for several months and also involved public demonstrations in front of Scientology headquarters. Another final one is we have Anonymous versus Russia and Putin. So, the Anonymous Activist Collective has been bombarding Russia with cyber attacks since declaring cyber war on President Vladimir Putin in retaliation for the invasion of Ukraine. Several people operating under its banner spoke to the BBC about their motives, tactics and plans. Of all the cyber attacks carried out since the Ukraine conflict started, an anonymous hack on Russian TV networks stands out. The hack was captured in a short video clip which shows normal programming interrupted with images of bombs exploding in Ukraine and soldiers talking about the horrors of the conflict. The video began circulating on the 26th of February and was shared by anonymous social media accounts with millions of followers. Just in, #Russian state TV channels have been hacked by #anonymous to broadcast the truth about what happens in #Ukraine, one post read. It quickly racked up millions of views. The stunt has all the hallmarks of an anonymous hack: dramatic, impactful, and easy to share online. Like many of the group's other cyber attacks, it was also extremely hard to verify. But one of the smaller groups of anonymous hackers said that they were responsible and that they took over TV services for 12 minutes. The first person to post the video was also able to verify it was real. Eliza lives in the US, but her father is Russian and called her when his TV shows were interrupted. My father called me when it happened and said, "Oh my god, they're showing the truth." So I got him to record it and I posted the clip online. He says one of his friends saw it happen too. Rostelecom, the Russian company that runs the hacked services, did not respond to requests for comment. The hackers justified their actions, saying innocent Ukrainians were being massacred. "We will intensify the attacks on the Kremlin if nothing is done to restore peace in Ukraine," they added. Anonymous says it has also taken down Russian websites and stolen government data. But Lisa Forte, a partner at cybersecurity company Redcoat, says most of these attacks have so far been quite basic. Hackers have mostly been using DDoS attacks, where a server is overwhelmed by a flood of requests, she said. These are relatively simple to carry out and only take websites offline temporarily. But the TV hack is incredibly creative, she said, and I would think quite difficult to pull off. Anonymous hackers have also defaced Russian websites. Fort says this involves gaining control of a website to change the content displayed. So far, the attacks have caused disruption and embarrassment, but cyber experts have become increasingly concerned by the explosion of hacktivism since the invasion. They're worried that a hacker might accidentally knock out a hospital's computer network or interrupt critical communication links. "I've never seen anything like this," says Emily Taylor from the Cyber Policy Journal. "These attacks do carry risks. They could lead to escalation, or someone could accidentally cause real-life damage to a critical part of civilian life." Anonymous has not been this active in years. Roman, a Ukrainian tech entrepreneur who heads a group of hackers called Stand for Ukraine, had no links with the organisation until Russia invaded his country. But he told me that when he and his team briefly defaced the website of the Russian state news agency, TASS, with an anti-Putin poster, they included an anonymous logo. Roman works from his apartment in Kiev, coordinating his team as they create websites, Android apps and Telegram bots to help Ukraine's war effort and hack Russian targets. "I am ready to go and pick up a rifle for Ukraine, but at the moment my skills are better used at the computer, so I'm here in my home with my 2 laptops, coordinating this ID resistance." Very interesting. I guess something that stands out to me is that because they're anonymous, anyone could claim to be acting on behalf of Anonymous or be part of it, when in fact they're not. But I guess Anonymous is, not to get super deep, but it's more of an idea, isn't it? Of standing up for people and standing up for, like their little mantra said, standing up for privacy and freedom of speech. So yeah, very, very interesting. It's all very impressive, isn't it? All of the hackers for Anonymous are incredibly clever, so well done you. But that is going to do it for this evening's video. If you have any requests for future